Howdy, 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 folks. Maximillionaire here. How you guys been? Hope you're all doing well. Well, needed to come in and say something uh, in light of recent events because we've seen a switch now in the tactics of police, and I think we're getting a warning of to what is to come. And let me show you what I'm talking about. And first I will just play you up.
Want to make great marketing videos?
Oh, that was not what I was trying
so fresh,
to do.
They'll smack you in the face. Check out promo.
All right, here we go. Let's try this again. All right, hang on a second. Let me bring this video up, and we will take a look here. It's been a while, so forgive me. Here we go. Switch screen. So here's the video that I want to show to start with.
Speak on behalf of the 5,200 brave men and women of the Houston Police Department and the other 800,000 police officers that are working these streets every single day, putting their lives on the line.
Oh, sorry.
We are sick and tired of having targets on our back. We are sick and tired of having dirtbags trying to take our lives when all we're trying to do is protect this community and protect our families. Enough is enough. And if you're the ones that are out there spreading the rhetoric that police officers are the enemy, well, just know we've all got your number now. We're going to be keeping track of all of y'all, and we're going to make sure that we hold you accountable every time you stir the pot on our police officers. We've had enough, folks. We're out there doing our jobs every day, putting our lives on the line for our families. Enough is enough. But now I want to speak on behalf of the 5,200 brave men and women of the Houston Police Department.
Sorry about that. Let's try and get that to stop. Computer's acting just a little bit
and the other 800
glitchy today. So that was the Houston Police Officer Union president. Now, let me give just a little bit of background before we go on to a couple of these other things that I want to show you. Many people probably know, but let's just to fill in those that don't know. Yesterday in Houston, police served a search warrant on some heroin dealers, okay, which I don't know of anybody that stands up for heroin dealers. So we're talking scumbag drug dealers, basically, all right? And 5 of them got shot. Now, of course, they killed the 2 heroin dealers that they were serving an arrest warrant on. And but the police decided to use this opportunity to come out against activists, cop watchers, Black Lives Matters, the people that are holding police accountable. And somehow, in some twisted form of logic, they're placing the blame for this shooting on you guys, on the activists, on these people doing this. And that's just nuts. That's crazy. That has nothing to do with heroin, black tar heroin dealers. Okay. Now, they weren't the only ones to do this. Now, let me show you something else that was played on Fox today. And let me just make sure I got things going right here. Hopefully things are not lagging too bad. But here is Fox totally misunderstanding what the movement is about and what First Amendment auditors are all about. Let me switch view again. And here was Fox earlier today.
This is what police officers have to deal with sometimes, Dana. There's a new phenomenon called public auditing, where someone goes into the middle of a park and starts acting crazy and rambunctious, and then a police officer comes over to settle them down, and then they film it while they try to provoke the police officer into doing something while on tape.
That's terrible.
That's what they're dealing with.
Okay. Now, first of all, they got it totally wrong. This is not public auditing. Okay? This is First Amendment auditing. And people are not going to parks and acting the fool to attract police attention just so they can make them look bad. And when the police respond to these auditors, they're not responding to come and calm people down. You've seen many of these videos, and many of these times these people are here escalating things. That's what the cops are trained to do. They're trained to escalate, not de-escalate. Now, they went and there's been some backlash against the union president's words. And let me show you this real quick.
Tonight, the head of the Houston Police Officers Union is setting the record straight about strong words he made last night that have many of you talking on our Facebook page.
We are sick and tired of having dirtbags trying to take our lives when all we're trying to do is protect this community and protect our families. Enough is enough.
Some people are worried Joe Grimaldi's emotional remarks will drive a deeper wedge between the community and police. Jessica Borg talked with him about his powerful words that are making headlines nationwide.
Now, before we continue on here real quick, I'm trying to get a grasp here exactly who Grimaldi is calling dirtbags. Because while it seems like the phrase dirtbag should be aimed at people who kill police and people who deal in black tar heroin, obvious dirtbags, he seems to be calling people that film and cop watch and hold First Amendment auditors as the dirtbags. That they're the ones to blame for police officers getting shot, as if somehow these black tar heroin dealers, whom they were coming in as a SWAT raid to serve a search warrant and bust them for selling black tar heroin, somehow these people were influenced by First Amendment auditors and cop watchers, and that's what provoked them to shoot these police officers, which is an utterly, completely ridiculous statement.
The police union president says he's gotten a lot of support for his comments and also criticism. Tonight, he's doubling down, calling on law enforcement leaders to use social media and other platforms to confront activists.
Okay, so he's calling on them to use social media platforms to confront activists.
He's known as a firebrand.
And if you're the ones that are out there spreading the rhetoric that police officers are the enemy, well, just know we've all got your number now. We're going to be keeping track of all of y'all.
The president of the Houston Police...
We have your number, and we're going to be keeping track of all y'all. Okay? So in other words, we are now the enemy. We are now the bad guys. The people that are filming and holding police accountable are the evil bad guys.
Police union, hours after 4 officers were shot serving a search warrant. Today, Joe Grimaldi standing firm that is becoming more and more of a dangerous climate for law enforcement to do their jobs.
It could be the activists that decide they want to stir up every single use of force incident, even though it is overwhelmingly justified in every single case.
But what you will not do as a police officer or as another Houstonian,
is police me in my speech, my free speech.
At a heated city council meeting this afternoon, activists calling for council members to condemn Grimaldi's words. The mayor and council avoided the controversy,
Working together.
instead focusing on the wounded officers and community support for them.
Every day they risk their lives to protect you,
They do not
to
protect
me,
They set
and
me
to
up on
protect
charges.
On social media, Grimaldi's comments drawing both praise and disgust.
People can create their own faux outrage however they choose to, but the fact of the matter is, I said, we're going to hold y'all accountable.
According to Grimaldi, by using social media to counter what he says are false narratives about police. Ashton Woods, an organizer with Black Lives Matter Houston, says the group doesn't advocate violence and worries the comments will create deeper divides.
It looks like the police are trying to get aggressive and using this as an excuse to clamp down on black and brown communities who have a problem with policing in the first place.
Mayor Turner says right now his attention is on the wounded officers and their well-being. It's not clear if in the coming days he'll weigh in on the issue. At City, more and more of a dangerous
Okay, I want to go back to
for
this
law
point here real
enforcement to
quick.
do their jobs.
It could be the activists that decide they want to stir up every single use of force incident, even though it is overwhelmingly justified in every single case.
But what
You hear that? It is overwhelmingly justified in every single case. Now let me ask you guys, is that true? Was that a truthful statement? Was he speaking truth there that use of force by the police is overwhelmingly justified in every single case? I don't think that's true. I think these police officers that have been sent to prison in recent years, which is finally becoming to happen a little bit more than it used to, although not nearly at the rate where it should be. But how can this be justified in every single case when these police officers are going to jail? This just boggles my mind. They're using a completely unrelated incident to justify an attack on the people who wish to hold police accountable. And let me make myself and my position very clear. I have never advocated for the abolition of the police. I believe that most police have the best intentions for the most part. I believe that the thin blue line and the leadership causes a lot of the problems, and that these problems need to be addressed, and the system needs to be addressed. But I do not think that the answer is the abolition of the police force. Let me make another thing clear. While I support our military and am very proud of our young men and women that serve in the armed forces and that go and defend this country and defend the Constitution and defend our liberties, and I think that's a wonderful thing, and I think we've got one of the best military forces in the world. They are trained killers, because that's what you're trained for in the Army. In the military, you're trained to kill people and to break things. That is the military's job, okay? Let me repeat that. The military's job is to kill people and to break things. And our military is very good at it. While I am very supportive of our military and our veterans, and I would advocate against homelessness in our military and advocate for mental health care, you got to realize our military has one of the highest suicide rates after coming home after being deployed, which, being in the horrors of war, that's completely understandable. But let's be clear. Our military is trained for a particular purpose and in a particular way. But what is overwhelmingly happening is our military are becoming our civilian police force. Overwhelmingly, our police force is being filled with officers who served in war, who have military training. And like I said, while I support our military, I don't think that our military should be our civilian police force. I believe that's unconstitutional. I don't see that as being very different than having a standing army over our country. These people were trained for different things. And once you're trained, I mean, it's embedded in the military. I mean, and it has to be. These things are necessary. And they're embedded training about how to react and how to do things. And if you don't react instantly, you could cost your life. And a wartime situation, that is absolutely 100% necessary. Okay? But do we want those tactics and that training to then be transferred to our civilian police force overseeing our civilian population in America? I don't think so. The problem I have, though, is what do you do? How can you say, sorry, but if you're a veteran, you can't be a police officer? I'm not even sure that would be constitutional to say something like that. But if this seems to be a sign, okay, because the police started out a few years ago and they didn't like being filmed. Okay, it's obvious cops didn't like being filmed. They tried passing laws against it. They tried using existing laws. They tried using wiretapping laws, all these things against people, filming them in public doing their public duties. Because, you know, when you got people filming you, you can't lie. You can't say whatever you want to say. And for decades, that's always been the way it's been with the police. Whatever the police says goes. That's what happened. That's what the courts take as fact. They take that, you know, the cops don't lie. They have no reason to lie. Why would he lie? And more in modern days, since we have cell phones and everybody has a camera in their hands, we're seeing more and more that that's just not true. In these First Amendment auditing activists, we've seen when we watch a video and then we go and see the police reports that they have written about what happened, we've seen more and more that police lie. And they seem to lie on a regular basis. Now, why suddenly do we become the enemy? Because we're calling them out on their shit. And that we've got the proof to back it up because we've got the videos. Why does that make us the enemy? I mean, just because you want to hold cops accountable does not mean you hate police any more than if you want to hold priests accountable, pedophile priests raping little boys. Just because you want to hold them accountable does not make you anti-Catholic. Does not make you a religious bigot. That just means you're against pedophile priests. Okay? Totally different thing. But with this police action now, you're seeing more, and we're going to see more, of these other groups and companies going along with this stuff. You see how they are clamping down on some of the activists, such as James Freeman. And James Freeman has stated that he believes his channel is going to be shut down shortly. This is what these police are starting to do, and they're I'll say it, bootlicker friends. Their bootlicker friends want to go on there and tag our videos and file complaints, file false things, file privacy complaints when they're public officers and they know damn well that they don't have expectation of privacy in public. They know this. They don't care. They're just doing this to attack our channels, to attack our cause. And I see it as just getting worse before it can get better. And I'm not sure what the answer is here. How do we fight back against a system that is continually trying to edit us, trying to do away with our channels, trying to squelch our free speech? How do we motivate against that? I mean, I guess the only thing I can see that has been doing some good, where things have been happening, has been in the courts. And the courts have started to, enshrine the right of the public to film public officials doing their public duties. Now, right now, that's mostly aimed at police officers. But in at least one of the cases, the justices have also talked about how it's public officials. So part of the fight is to get these rulings that have said that we have the right to film police officers, to get them to extend that to we have the right to film any public official from a public place performing their public duties. And that would be whether you're in a city hall or you're in a post office or you're in a public utilities. If they are people being paid by the public dime and you are in a place that is open to the public, you should have the right to record them. And if they don't like it, that's too bad. Getting sick of these people trying to think that simply recording in a public place is somehow suspicious, that you're casing the place to, I can only imagine that they think it's to case the place to make a terrorist attack against them. So, what do you guys think? First of all, what do you think about, how about Fox? What do you think about the fact that, he seems to think that we're, quote, public auditors, just acting a fool in parks to get the attention of police and then try to bait them into doing something bad? How do we get that perception changed out there? I mean, how do we get these people to realize that that's not what First Amendment auditing is about? That's not what filming in public is about. That's not what holding our public officials accountable is about. No, I don't think Fox is haters of the public. And I think, I watch Fox and CNN and MSNBC. I watch and digest a various amount of media from different sources. And by and large, I actually think Fox is one of the more fair and more balanced, although they are skewed to the right. But I think they're more fair and more balanced than many of the others, who, while they're skewed, they try to pretend like they're middle of the road. And come on, let's not kid here. MSNBC and CNN are not middle of the road. They are liberal. They skew to the left, and they just won't admit it. So, but recently, I've been heartened by Fox News. If you've seen any of the recent things about how the FBI has gone after some of these people from Trump's campaign and how the police have been misused. I think some of these conservatives are finally waking up to realize that, wow, our police do misuse their powers and can use them for political and misuse them for political and other purposes, and do. And before they used to support the police, totally, like, oh, it's whatever the police do, because whatever they're doing, it's against bad guys, right? Always against bad guys. Well, all of a sudden, when the target becomes them, then they start to realize, hey, well, maybe we shouldn't be giving them the kind of power that we've given them. Maybe they need to be reined in. So, Finbar Martin says perhaps his attack is a good opportunity to educate. I think everything just about is a good opportunity to educate whenever we can get a chance. What do you guys think about this? How about the union president? What his statements were? Do you think they were fair? Is the reason for these shootings of these police officers, or this just because people, First Amendment auditors and cop watchers and Black Lives Matters have pointed out the failings of police officers? Is that why they got shot yesterday? Or does this have nothing more to do with that? It's just about black tar heroin. I mean, come on. Are we really going to act surprised that a heroin dealer has guns and is going to shoot at the police? It's not a real huge surprise there, I don't think. Well, I want to hear from some of you guys. Is there anybody that wants to speak on Discord, ask any questions? I see we've got Billy Bob Cornbread in here. And let's see, you guys. See if I can get in here. See if you've got anything to say here. Add. Okay. I'm over at Discord, and if anybody wants to join the conversation, the link is in the description box down below of the video here of our live stream. And I'm going to jump into the group discussion here section. So if somebody wants to come in and jump in the group discussion, or if anybody can send a message if they want. And while I'm waiting there, I'm going to check our feed here and see what's up. Hello, Mystery 13. Good to see you there. Deleted your Discord app. Okay, well, I guess that's you're not going to be able to jump in then. Do you guys have any statements or questions that you want to put in here? Hey, Froggy Master. Good to see you there, too. Was any actual drugs found? Froggy Master asks. I don't know. I've heard that there's some bad details about this bus that are just starting to be released, or we're just getting hints of that something about maybe they busted in and started shooting first by shooting a dog, and that these people just fired back. It's going to be awfully hard to prove anything if there's no videos of these officers. If they don't have any body cams, it's going to be awfully hard to prove anything. It's going to be their word against two dead people. And dead men tell no tales. So I guess whatever they say goes. And that brings me to another point that really bothers me. We we have this big belief in the United States of America that you are innocent until proven guilty. But that's just not the fact. In America, if a police officer is making a statement against you, you are guilty until proven innocent. If a police officer claims, even if he's lying, that he saw you do something, what do you think happens in court? What happens in court is a judge is going to believe that police officer over you. So and it can even be 2 or 3 people. Sometimes it's been as many as 13 people against one police officer's word, and the police officer is the one that is believed. So how is that not guilty until proven innocent? Many of these cases they only prove their innocence because there's a recording. Somehow there's a video. Somehow there's an audio tape, something that they didn't get deleted or didn't realize was going on. In San Francisco, it happened that there was a case where they beat this guy that they chased for 100 miles, and they didn't realize that there was a video camera in the alley recording their messages. And this is how a lot of these people end up proving that the police officers are lying. But, this just goes to show you that we do not have a system where we're innocent until proven guilty, because the bar is set so low that just because a man is wearing a little tin piece of metal on his chest, that he tells no lies, that everything he says is the truth, and that's who's supposed to be believed. Yes, and even in a jury trial, people tend to believe the police because they don't know better. That's part of why I think this auditing community makes a big difference, because people can actually see where the police have lied and where things are not true. So Billy Bob Cornbread says challenge jurisdiction. Okay, you guys that know me, I am not on board with this this challenging jurisdiction thing, with this what do you call it, the sovereign citizen thing. Okay, that's I've looked at some of those things and some of their arguments, and I just I don't see them as flying. As far as people are concerned in the courtrooms today, if you were inside of their magic line and you did something that violated one of their codes, that's jurisdiction, and that's all there is to it. So, well, I'm not exactly sure how, unless you actually got a jurisdictional question, I'm not sure how challenging jurisdiction is not a sovereign citizen item, because that's one of their number one uses, is trying to challenge jurisdiction. And like I said, if there's a real jurisdictional question, I don't have a problem with that. That's all fine and good. Maybe the feds are trying to charge something that should be by the state, or vice versa. But typically if you're in a certain jurisdiction and you do a certain act and they come and arrest you, they have jurisdiction over these imaginary lines that we call states or counties or cities, and to try to convince people otherwise is to basically challenge the entire makeup of our judicial system, which they're not going to allow. I mean, they're not just going to willingly lay down and go, "Oh, you're right, we'll just dismantle our whole system." We've got to break it apart piece by piece, or not necessarily break it apart, but correct it or make adjustments piece by piece. Maybe parts need to be broken up, but yeah, Froggy, sovereign citizen is an oxymoron, because you can't be sovereign and a citizen at the same time. you're either sovereign or you're a citizen. And the United States, if you're born in America, you're a citizen, and it's citizenship by birth. And that's just the way the system works. So, anyway, did anybody have anything that they wanted to say in Discord, or do you guys have any questions that you want to ask me or anything? I see, go back here, I did see some questions. Somebody asked why it's been so long since I've been on here. Well, I'll tell you. YouTube has not been the nicest to people in our community. They have been demonetizing people. They refuse to monetize people. And they would not monetize my channel because they're claiming that I'm reusing videos without permission. And I have not. I've got permission for all the videos that I've used. I've got it in writing. I've got them. I wrote those on my videos. But for some reason, YouTube doesn't think my videos are in compliance. So I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I can do and what it is that YouTube doesn't want me to do. And it's a little bit hard to give you guys the news and the stories about what's going on without showing what's going on. Tucson police suck. My phone is broken right now. My phone broke just before Christmas, okay? I will be getting a new phone shortly. I've just had some issues trying to get the right one. I didn't want to spend money on one that was only going to be used for a couple of months while I'm trying to get a different one. So for those of you who have my phone number, it will be back in use again here shortly. Like I said, as soon as I get my new phone. Phones now are a lot more expensive than they used to be, and I kind of need a decent one. So that's what's been causing me problems. So I've not been gone though. I've been here. I've just been keeping a low profile, and I've been watching silently. And it just when the police union came out here like this in this big attack on auditors, I had to say something. I really. I couldn't keep my mouth shut any longer. So, that's why I'm here. But I'm not dead. I'm not gone. I will be doing more videos. I am just trying to be careful to follow YouTube's policies too. And because it doesn't do me any good to have my channel deleted, if YouTube gets upset at me. So, also I'm trying to transition. I'm trying to make, to where I can do this activism and this reporting and investigating on a full-time basis. In order to do that, I've got to be able to support myself. So, that's why I'm still working with YouTube to try to get monetized. And because if that could happen, then that would be a way to give me support so I could dedicate all my time to doing this. Otherwise, you got to do what you got to do, and you got to go out and make some bread to pay the bills and put the bacon in the frying pan. So that's where that stands. But I'm still around. Also, my email address, maximillionaire@gmail.com, or maximillionaire1@gmail.com. That's good. I'm still still checking my emails, so if you need to get a hold of me that way, you can as well. But that's where we're at. Wanted to bring that up with you guys. If you don't have anything else, I will let you guys go here shortly. Let me just check the chat real quick and see. Yeah, Black Label is not a copsucker. No, Black Label is not. So anybody trying to spread that false information, you know, I've been called a bootlicker and stuff myself. And this is something else that's going to be coming out in my future videos. I know a lot of times people go, you know, you shouldn't say how other auditors should work. Every auditor can do things the way they want to do things, you know. Well, okay, to a certain extent, yes, I agree with that. But if you're an auditor who actually wants to accomplish something, then I think there are some guidelines that we need to follow. If there's, you know, if you just want entertainment and if you want to see freedom, then I say, hey, great. You know, Mexican Padilla, I love the guy. I love his videos. I mean, he is the embodiment to me of free speech. It is truly a free society if you can feel freely to speak to police like Mexican Padilla does and not be in fear of retaliation. But unfortunately, there is retaliation, and you can see what's happened to Mexican Padilla and see that. But we also know that he is not going to be the kind of video or kind of person, the kind of case that is going to necessarily make the court case precedents that Philip Turner has made, okay, or other activists have made. Because, first of all, lawyers don't want to represent people who curse at cops. If you curse at a cop, very difficult to find a lawyer who would take your case, if not impossible. So, also, it does not make judges want to rule in your favor. So you actually could be hurting our group. You could be hurting our mission, what we want to accomplish by taking those kind of cases up the ladder in the courts. You might actually get precedents set against us rather than on our side. Monkey83 says, would it be fair to say when you talk to the police like Padilla does that you should expect retaliation from them? Yes, absolutely. If that's what I said too. It is unfortunately right now you would expect retaliation from police if you speak to them like Mexican Padilla does. Okay, that's proof that our system is not working. Because let me reiterate what I just said a few minutes ago. A true sign of a free society is to be able to be free to curse out a cop and call him every name in the book and not be afraid of recriminations and not be afraid that the police are going to jack you up on some made-up charges just to put you through the ride because they know you can beat the rap, but you can't beat the ride. So, yeah, one day in our society, we may get to that point where we can speak to a police officer that way and not have to be afraid that we're going to get jacked up. But right now, that's not the way things are. That's not the reality of policing in the United States today. So, James Barnes says, not all Nazis are bad. Not all MS-13 are bad. Not all traitors are bad. Okay, well, is it really fair to directly compare police to MS-13, Nazis, and traitors? Okay, I don't think the purpose of their group or the reason behind their formations are even remotely the same. So you're not really comparing apples to apples. Wayne Rogers says we need to stick together more than ever. Stop the trouble starting and bullshit, and we can find them out. Yeah, and that's another reason why I have not been too much around and saying too much is there's been some infighting. There's been some things going on that they don't make us look good. They don't help the movement. And things that don't help the movement end up hurting the movement. So, yes, Froggy, I agree with you. Free speech is exactly what it is. Free speech, there's no such thing as hate speech, just speech. No, hate speech, that's one of those newspeak words like George Orwell's 1984. And who gets to decide what is hate speech? I mean, I see an awful lot of speech against Donald Trump that could easily be called hate speech. Does that mean that we should legally stop these people from doing it? Well, no. Hell no. That's what America's about. We don't want to turn into England. I mean, you see people getting thrown in jail for handing out pamphlets in England or, quote, wearing political uniforms in public. I mean, good Lord, what have they turned into? We don't want America to turn into that, do we? There's still people fighting over there in England over this stuff, but I think they're lost. I think the battle has been lost over in England. I don't think there's any coming back for them. I don't see their laws getting changed. I don't see they're on a downward spiral that I think is too late to pull out. So, James Barnes says, what's the difference? The difference between police and MS-13? Well, let's see. Police are formed by the public entities such as cities and states to enforce laws. MS-13 is a gang. They're formed only for themselves, for their own purposes, and absolutely nothing to do and no accountability to the public. So the difference is police do have accountability to the public, and this is where we're really putting pressure on people, is holding these officers accountable. So, I mean, the more we can do that, the better off we are. I really do think that we're making a difference. And I really feel that in the end, we will know when there's victory as far as First Amendment auditing goes, is when we can go anywhere in public and film whatever we can see from public and nobody bothers us. When nobody says boo and nobody calls the cops because you're just recording with a camera, then we will have won. And I do think that is something that is feasible, that will be something that will eventually happen, especially as we see this virtual explosion of auditors that we've seen in the last 2 years. It used to be, I could count on 2 hands how many cop watchers and auditors there were on YouTube. Now there are literally hundreds, and I can't even completely keep up with all of their videos. Right there, that also shows me that we're winning. And we are winning some hearts and minds. Yes, that's why we are on the front lines fighting for our freedom. We stand and we fight. Sure. And I think that's going to keep going, and I think that's going to keep progressing. So, let me see what we got here saying. Maddle v. Tam, 2017. Speech that demeans on the basis of race, ethnicity, gender, religion, age, disability is hateful, but we protect the freedom to express the thoughts that we hate. Sure. I mean, that's also why they allowed the Illinois Nazis to march in Skokie, Illinois, back in the 70s. Is it because we agree with Illinois Nazis? Hell no. In the words of the famous Jim Belushi, I fucking hate Illinois Nazis. But I tell you what, I'll stand up for their right to speak. I'll stand up for their right to march. Because if somebody's going to shut down the Illinois marches, the Illinois Nazis' rights, who's to say that I'm not next? Who's to say that my speech or what I have to say or what I have to march for next week or next year is forbidden for some reason, that, it hurts somebody's feelings. Like I said, this is what they've got going on in England right now. You've had people put in jail for, what do they call it? Religious harassment. They basically have blasphemy laws, Sharia law, blasphemy laws in England right now. They may not call them Sharia law. They may not call it blasphemy law. But if you go out and you blaspheme Islam, they'll arrest you and throw you in jail. And it's been happening. Like I said, I don't see anything changing in England. I think they've already lost the war. I just want to hope and want to make sure that it can never become like that here. Because in England, they don't have the same freedoms of speech guaranteed and enshrined in a constitution like we do. But I tell you what, all it would take is enough judges to determine that what they claim as hate speech is suddenly not covered by the Constitution, and that would change everything. So that is certainly something that could really happen. Based upon this polarization of the judges. And let me bring that brings me to a whole nother subject that I do want to touch on here real quick. Donald Trump came out and talked about Obama judges and Clinton judges and Bush judges. And Chief Justice Roberts came out and said, there's no such thing as Obama judges and Trump judges, and these are all just good men and women trying to do the best they... Bullshit. Bullshit. Let me tell you, this is... Every single lawyer in America knows that was bullshit. Because lawyers know when they go to file a lawsuit, they know where to go file it. They know which judges they're trying to get because they know there are Obama judges and Trump judges and Bush judges and Clinton judges. And if you look at all of the judgments against Donald Trump in the last 2 years for going against his policies and everything else, you will find out that, with the exception, I believe, of one judgment, because I've been following this for the last 2 years, with the exception of one judgment by one judge recently made, who was actually assigned by Donald Trump, and he ruled against Donald Trump, all of the rest, 2/3 of them have been Obama judges, and the other third have been Clinton judges. So if only the Obama and Clinton judges are the ones that are ruling against Donald Trump. How are there no such thing as Trump judges and Clinton judges? You know, obviously they know. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been going against Kavanaugh so roughly and so harshly like they did. Okay? They're to pretend like there's not different political judges while railing at the same time against judges as being political is hypocrisy at the extreme. So okay, guys, I don't know about trenches and hugging asses, and I don't know what kind of conversation you guys got going on there, but I think I won't touch that one. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, why is there a trench involved all of a sudden? I don't know. Oh. Well, anyway, this is some of the reasons why I wanted to step in and talk to you guys. Thank you for checking in with me. I'm going to go ahead and get going, but rest assured, I am still around. I'm still here. You guys will be continuing to hear from me. I will continue to be a part of this community and in helping in different ways that I can. So until then, remember, know your rights, stand up for your rights, or you will lose your rights. Thank you all.
When did challenging jurisdiction become sovereign?